Welcome to Whiteboard Time Machine, where history comes alive. Subscribe and step into the past. Today, we're checking out 5 amazing inventions that were totally accidental, but ended up changing the world. Ready for some surprising history? Let's jump right in. Did you know one of the most important medical discoveries was actually a happy accident? Today, we're diving into the story of penicillin, the world's first true antibiotic, discovered in 1928 by a scientist named Alexander Fleming. It all began in a messy lab at St. Mary's Hospital in London. Fleming was studying bacteria, the tiny microbes that cause infections, hoping to find a way to kill them. But one day, he went on holiday and left some petri dishes with bacterial cultures on his bench. When Fleming returned, he noticed something strange. One of the dishes had mold growing on it. But not just any mold, the bacteria around the mold were completely gone. The mold had killed the bacteria, creating a clear area around itself. Fleming realized this mold, called Penicillium notatum, produced a substance that killed harmful bacteria. He called this substance penicillin. This was the first time anyone had found a natural antibiotic that could fight bacterial infections. Before penicillin, bacterial infections like pneumonia or strep throat could be deadly. Penicillin changed medicine forever. It became the first drug to save millions of lives by fighting infections that were once untreatable. At first, penicillin was hard to produce in large amounts. It wasn't until the 1940s, during World War II, that scientists figured out how to mass produce it, making it widely available to soldiers and civilians alike. So, thanks to a messy lab and a curious scientist's sharp eye, penicillin became a life-saving breakthrough. A perfect example of how sometimes, the best discoveries come when you least expect them. Has anyone ever wondered how corn flakes, that crunchy favorite breakfast, was invented? Believe it or not, it all started as a happy accident back in 1894. The story begins with two brothers, John Harvey Kellogg and Will Kellogg. They ran a health sanitarium in Michigan, where they focused on healthy eating and wellness. They wanted to create a simple, nutritious food for their patients. One day, the Kellogg brothers were boiling wheat to make some kind of cereal. But when they left the cooked wheat out, it got stale. Instead of throwing it away, they decided to run the wheat through rollers to see what would happen, and guess what? It flattened into thin flakes. They baked those flakes, and to their surprise, the wheat turned into a crispy, crunchy cereal. It was tasty and easy to eat, a perfect breakfast. Later, they tried the same process with corn and created the corn flakes we all know today. Before corn flakes, breakfast options were often heavy and greasy. Corn flakes were light, healthy, and convenient. They quickly became popular not just at the sanitarium, but all over the country. Will Kellogg later started his own company to mass-produce corn flakes, making it a breakfast staple in millions of homes worldwide. And it all started because of some stale wheat and a curious experiment. So, next time you pour a bowl of corn flakes, remember, it was a happy accident that changed breakfast forever. Has anyone ever wondered how matches, those little sticks that light fires, were invented? Well, it turns out the story is pretty surprising and, yep, partly an accident. Back in the early 1800s, lighting a fire wasn't as easy as just striking a match. People used flint and steel or had to carry around flammable materials. It was kind of a hassle. So, inventors were trying to find a simpler way to start fires. Enter a British chemist named John Walker. In 1826, he was working in his lab mixing chemicals, trying to create something new. One day, while experimenting, he noticed that a stick coated with a certain chemical mixture accidentally ignited when it rubbed against his lab bench. Walker hadn't meant for it to catch fire like that, but the friction caused the coated stick to burst into flame. That was basically the first version of a modern match. He called it friction light. These early matches were simple sticks coated with chemicals that could ignite when rubbed against a rough surface. This made lighting fires way easier than before, no need for flint or carrying around dangerous stuff. The early matches weren't perfect, they smelled bad, were a bit tricky to use, and sometimes were even dangerous. but they paved the way for better and safer matches in the years to come. So, thanks to a curious chemist and a lucky spark, matches were invented almost by accident, and they made lighting fires super easy for everyone. Next time you strike a match, remember how this everyday thing has a cool accidental origin story. Did you know that the microwave oven, that handy kitchen gadget that heats your food in minutes, was actually invented by accident? Yep, sometimes big inventions happen totally by surprise. The story starts with a guy named Percy Spencer, an engineer working for a company called Raytheon in the 1940s. He was working on radar technology during World War II, which used something called microwaves. One day, Percy was standing near some radar equipment when he noticed something strange. A candy bar in his pocket started melting. Yep, the microwaves were heating it up without any fire or stove. Curious, Percy put some popcorn kernels near the radar device. Pop! They popped. Then he tried an egg, and it exploded. That's when he realized microwaves could actually cook food quickly. Using this discovery, Percy and his team built the first microwave oven in 1945. It was big, almost as tall as a fridge, but it worked. It could heat food much faster than traditional ovens. So next time you zap your leftovers in the microwave, remember, it all started with a melting candy bar and a curious engineer who noticed something unusual. Talk about a tasty accident. Imagine being able to snap a photo and have it appear in your hand just minutes later. Sounds amazing, right? Well, that's exactly what happened thanks to a lucky accident back in 1947 with something called instant photography. This cool invention came from a guy named Edwin Land, a scientist and inventor. He was working hard to make photography easier and faster because back then, you had to wait days or even weeks to get your pictures developed. The story goes that in 1943, Land was on a family vacation with his daughter. She asked him, "Why can't I see the photo right away after you take it?" That question stuck with him. Edwin started experimenting with special chemicals and films that could develop a picture instantly. It took years of hard work, but in 1947, he finally invented a camera that could produce a fully developed photo within minutes, no darkroom needed. This instant camera was a game changer. Suddenly, you didn't have to wait to see your memories, you could hold them right away. Edwin's Polaroid camera became hugely popular and made instant photography a household name. The technology evolved over time, but it all started with a simple question and a bit of scientific curiosity. So, next time you snap a quick photo on your phone, think about how Edwin Land's invention changed photography forever, all thanks to a curious dad and a little bit of science magic. Thanks for watching. If you love exploring forgotten chapters of history and stories they never taught in school, then this channel is for you. Hit that subscribe button and join us every week as we uncover the past, one story at a time.